Welcome to the Empaths Journey to Empowerment. I am your host, Susan Wigley, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We have an extraordinary guest joining us, the one and only subconscious mind whisperer, Gaia. She is a true master of InnerFlow Tapping and has helped countless women break free from limiting beliefs, craft their vision for a remarkable life, and cultivate unshakable self-assurance. Get ready to be inspired and empowered as we dive into this transformative power of InnerFlow Tapping. Please give a warm welcome to Gaia, the embodiment of wisdom, compassion, and limitless potential. Welcome, Gaia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Susan. Wow, what a welcoming message. I love that. Now I'm like floating 10 centimeters above ground, like my wisdom.
Yeah, you have a lot of
so
wisdom.
Much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm excited to tap into this wisdom today. So, can you share a success story of a woman who felt stuck and managed to overcome her limiting beliefs through InnerFlow tapping?
Yes, I can share more than one story. Let me try and figure out one. You see, my InnerFlow tapping, let me start this way. My InnerFlow tapping is a tool that you can apply in any area of life. But I know you want a nice transforming story. So let me tell you the story of, let's call her Mary, right? Mary contacted me because she wanted to find a new job. That was why she contacted me. And she didn't know which one. She was like, I'm unhappy in my job and I want to have another one, but I don't know how. And some friends had told her that I had done great work with them. So she came and we started working together. And what happened then was so much bigger because Mary is a mother of 2 children. She's married, and one of the children has life-threatening allergies. So she has a pretty load on her shoulders. And when we started working together, she felt totally overwhelmed, especially because also her feeling was that her husband wasn't taking all those things seriously. So she had the whole load on her shoulders and kind of had to supervise or control her husband even so that he would give the right food to the kids and not order pizza and all these kind of things, while working full time in a job she didn't like. Wow. Bad communication, bad boss, this thing. But it was so well paid that she couldn't just say, okay, I'm leaving, I'm creating my own business. And creating her own business was a dream she had. Thoughts she had about, but it was very unclear and very like, okay, anyhow, I'll have to wait until the children are out of the house. Now, the younger child was 4 years old when we started. So, I mean, a perspective, like I'll do what I want to do in like 15, 20 years is not a perspective at all. I think you agree, right?
Yeah.
So she was stressed and she put everything inside of herself. She wouldn't talk, but she got this. I think you're familiar with passive aggressive behavior, right? That was her thing. Or even openly coming from work and then seeing that, I don't know, the husband didn't give the right foods to the kids hadn't done the homework and blah, blah, blah. And she would just blow up and yell at everyone.
Oh, boy.
And then feel bad and guilty about it. You can imagine the scene, right?
Yeah.
So actually, the first thing that we found out, it was in the first or second session, was that she felt she was a bad mother. She was inside beating herself up for being a bad mother. And we went back even to the moment of giving birth to her oldest child, which is the one with severe allergies, and feeling like it was her fault. She had done something wrong. Maybe she had some kind of postpartum depression. I don't know exactly. But it was already a major breakthrough for her to see and to understand and to tap, to clear this idea of that she was a bad mother. So you see, we were miles away from her job idea, but somehow it was all linked, because in the job, not only she had all this stress, but she had a woman who was triggering her story with her mother, who had abandoned her for working too much, even living in another city for work and leaving her behind with her grandmother. All wounds she had suffered when she was like 2 years, 3 years old.
Wow.
So all this came up. And with InnerFlow Tapping, we always take what's on top and we clear it. And then we go to the next, and we go to the next.
Yeah.
And
each
we always, each layer, I always figure out, or it's not me who figures it out, it's my client, but I help them and I guide them to figure out, where is this linked in your childhood? Because that's where all our troubles of today are coming from somehow. Like, okay, 95%, not all.
Yeah, a lot of them are before the ages of 7, the age of 7.
Exactly. So you can see there was a lot of things. She was giving money to her mother and her sister because both couldn't work. So she was giving all her money and still feeling guilty of not doing enough. And they're living in another country. So to make it not too long, this story, after 9 months that we worked together, she had put limits, boundaries with everyone around her. Especially also with her mother. Like, she had clear ideas what amount of money she would give her and when and why, and if that was not okay, then she wouldn't do it. She had the feeling, she had learned that she was worth it to have something for herself. Even something small, like going and buy herself a new dress just because she likes it. Not because there is a wedding ahead or because there's this reason, right? No, just going out and saying, oh, wow, I like this. I have the money. There is no reason why I shouldn't do it. Before we worked, she wouldn't have done that. Now she knows how to please herself and how to do good things to herself, which are not always linked with buying something, right? But that's right. I remember her face when she came on that call and she said, you don't believe what I just did, but I went out and I bought this dress. And she was like, this is a win, you know? This is what I love most. Because to us, this may seem like, duh. Yeah, you went and you bought a dress, so what? But for some people, this is a huge win. That's
a big breakthrough. That's a big breakthrough.
So she had the boundaries. And now she knows exactly what kind of business she wants to create. She's still not at the point that she started it, but she has a plan now of how to get there. Because it's a thing that she doesn't have even the qualifications for right now. So now she has a plan of what she's going to do, how she's going to study, what she needs, and then getting ready to open this business. And she changed her job. Job. The new job is still not really the thing, but it's better because she chose it.
Right. And it's a stepping stone to get where she's going.
Exactly. And that's how she sees it now. So she's not frustrated with the job anymore, because first it's better paid. The triggering mother figure has disappeared, and she knows she's not going to stay there forever.
Yeah, that is a huge deal. I mean, that's quite a transformation.
And then she cleared the whole thing with her husband, because at some point, like 3 months into the work, she was considering of leaving him. And like, I should have left him years ago. You know, these moments. And I said, yeah, okay, so let's have a look at this. What if you leave him? Like giving her the permission she wouldn't give herself.
Right.
And you know that when you give yourself the permission, when you have really this freedom of choice, then suddenly you can see other solutions. So I taught her a method that I've learned years ago on how to have regular meetings and serious dialogues with your partner to create a better relationship intentionally. They did that. First, he didn't want to, and then she kind of convinced him, and they started to having these meetings, put in the calendar. It's like quality time for them, but not to go out or the usual thing that we think a couple should do, but to sit down and talk. And not talk like the usual dialogue, but really getting heard by the other. So they did that for 2-3 months, and then everything started to get better. They started to take decisions together, where first he had taken the decisions alone. They had this regular dialogue, so they knew better what the other one was feeling. And because she made a lot of assumptions about her husband, which were not true, right? Yeah. Because, it's the two. When we don't listen, when we're not really attentive to the other, then it's like, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, we just create a story that makes it feel like we know, but it's the story that we've created. It's not the actual facts or the truth.
So more or less, that's Mary's story.
Wow.
And it took 9 months of weekly meetings, but it was worth it. And we're still in contact. Sometimes I hear from her. She knows, of course, that I'm her fallback coach if she ever needs me. And I know she loves knowing that, but she doesn't need me. She's really on such a good path, and I just love that.
Yeah, that's really powerful. That's a pretty big transformation. And I know there are a lot of people that could really use that kind of transformation because they're so stuck.
Yes, and it's
and they just can't see a way out. Yeah.
It's a typical one because, and this is why I created this idea of InnerFlow Tapping, because many people know tapping, EFT, and I've met tons of people who say, yeah, tapping, I tried it, but it didn't work for me. Yeah, it didn't work because you don't know how to really do it.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because you have a superficial way of doing it, and you have a deeper way of doing it. And of course, I combine it with other methods from energy psychology, with visualizations, and sometimes with matrix healing and stuff like that. Or even with that client, with Mary, I did systemic constellations on a virtual way. So it's more like just tapping as you see it on YouTube, 5 minutes a day will not do the work, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to, first of all, you have to know what you're doing, but you have to actually set the intention that you are going to work through this process so that you can heal. Because if you're just doing it superficially, it's just like affirmations. You can't just repeat the words and expect your life to change. You actually have to do the work. Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And for me, what's important is that the women I work with understand that everything is linked. Our body, our emotions, and our spiritual side, you cannot have one without the other.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And at some point, they always enter the equation. One more, one less. So this is what I love about my work, because this is the diversity of clients that I have. Some come because I'm also an emotional eating and weight loss coach, right? So they come because of the body image, because of physical trauma, sexual trauma. We start with that. And from there, of course, we expand into the relationship. And suddenly it gets a business aspect. And it's like, wow, I didn't know that this is influencing the way how I do my business.
Yeah, well, yeah. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It influences everything.
True. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
That's true, but most people are not aware of that.
Yes.
How it's all connected. Most people are just not aware of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I call it holistic health sometimes, because this connection, and I don't mind that people don't know it. They come with one thing, just like this woman, she came with, I want to change my job and I heard you can help me. And the rest comes by itself. So it's just an entrance door.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a starting point. That's a good way to put it. Wow, you do some really good work. And I can see how your clients would transform through that, because you're guiding them through the deep work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And somehow
really
many of my clients are women who have this same thing, like, and I remember myself when I was younger, when I had my son, I was 20, near to 21, so pretty young. And I was living in Latin America, and it was a complicated situation. But I remember these feelings of overwhelm. And then I created my own business. And for me, it didn't work out because I had no support. And I had an abusive marriage at that time. So I had no chance, actually. But I can remember all these feelings of frustrations and not knowing where to start, right? Where should I start? Should I get a job? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I think this confusion is so hard to bear.
Yeah, it can be paralyzing.
Yes. And at the same time, you have all your thoughts racing up in your mind, but it's so interesting, but it's not with our thoughts that we can take our decisions. And actually, we don't. Science shows that our decisions are always based on emotions. And when we tell ourselves that we did a rational decision and we can explain why we did it, that's the brain that jumps in afterwards and kind of rationalizes your emotional decision. Do I make my point clear?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's how it works. And most people don't know, right? And when I read about, yes, you need the mindset and you need it's like we're trying to force our mind to go in a certain direction, but it can't because our emotions are not there.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you can't force it. You can't.
No,
doesn't work.
This is why we have to connect with our subconscious. We have to kind of influence it. We have to, the first thing, and this is linked to the chakras, right? When we're born, we have only the first chakra. All our survival system is in there, and it is linked to our whole nervous system. So as a baby, you know that it's all about being safe, being protected, being nourished, being taken care of, right? These are these basic needs. And all of this is in the first chakra and in the first 2 years of our lives. Now, if we do not have the ideal family, and most don't, I remember one woman said to me, oh yeah, my mom, she forgot to feed me. She just forgot because I was so quiet as a baby.
Oh, wow.
The mother told her later, right? There's a huge mother-daughter thing that happened. So when we got there and the mother told her this story, she suddenly understood why there was always this gap and she couldn't feel her mother's love. Even her mother loves her, right? But when she was young and this woman was a baby, she didn't have the bandwidth.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So these are the things, and we cannot heal them today. We only can take the feelings of today and then heal it in the past.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
And I know it sounds woo-woo to some people, but I think we have to, what we've learned from quantum physics is that time is not linear.
Exactly. It's not. Yeah.
And when I learned that you can go to the past and you can go to the future and change it, I was like, wow, this is so powerful. and using this in a really day-to-day life,
Mm-hmm.
and teaching this to my clients is so empowering. Because, my main goal is that you don't need me. I'm not a person who likes to create dependencies.
Right.
I know colleagues, they say, oh, I have people who come to me who've been coming every week for 5 years. And I'm like, in my mind, at least, I think, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, because the
they
healing
need you
isn't
every
happening.
week.
Right.
There is a dependency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there can be extreme cases, but then it wouldn't make me proud. If I have a client who stays longer than a year, I'm really like, okay, what do I not see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that.
And usually it's like 4 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then they leave again.
Yeah. Well, I do have one client that I've been working with for 4 years now, but we are working on all kinds of different things, and it's like an accountability thing more than anything. And we're working on all kinds of different things. So that's a little bit different.
Yes. And I have clients like that. I have clients I've been known for 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's that I didn't do always the work I do now. Mm-hmm. I started out with homeopathy and alternative healing and acupuncture and a ton of stuff before I learned about the brain and the subconscious mind and all that. So I have people from that time still. But now, I think they're all done. I have one who is on what I call a weaning package. Instead of having weekly meetings, she has a package, and she can use it when she needs me in a time frame of 6 months. So that's the last one. All the others are done now.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. That's a lot of healing.
Yes. And it's because when I moved from Germany to Spain 2 years ago, in August, in July, it'll be 2 years ago. That created a big shift in my work. And of course, the people I left behind, some really felt abandoned.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the ones that once I settled here, like after 2 months, I said, okay, this is how we can do this. This is how I'm going to work from now on. No more in-person things. It's only online, etc. But we can do that. And they said yes.
That's good.
So the past 2 years, these are like the people I still had from this long time relationships from before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good that you figured out something that would work and support them still. Yeah, because that's a big challenge. That can be a huge challenge. Yeah. So what role does InnerFlow tapping play in aligning with one's true desires and taking inspired action toward achieving their goals? You did touch on this a little bit.
Let me think. So what InnerFlow tapping does, or my whole work, is we start finding all the traumatic events from childhood. And these are the roots of our limiting beliefs and of our bad habits, right? Mm-hmm. And with bad habits, I mean what I call unwanted behavior. Mm-hmm. That can be anything, from overeating or binge eating to some other. There's a lot of compulsive behavior in there, or a lot of habits we cannot let go, even though we know they're not good for us. Mm-hmm. Right? We know they're not good for us, but we cannot stop. Can be a kind of addictive behavior. Mm-hmm. This is always coming from childhood, and it is either linked to a limiting belief or to various limiting beliefs, or to what I call a secret vow. So, for instance, I was in an interview last year, I think, and we were talking about body image, if I remember that right. And somehow we came to the topic of money, because I obviously also work on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was explaining how this works and how the topic of money is linked to the chakras. And suddenly the interviewer said to me, "Oh my gosh, now I understand." And she's 70 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand what happened when I started my career. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Okay, here's the story." She said, "When I left home and I started my career, I got a really well-paid, great job. And I was so proud. And I went back to visit my family, my parents. And I couldn't wait to tell them because I was so proud and I thought they would cheer for me and be happy for me and everything. So instead, the mother asked, "How much are you earning there?" When she told her that she had this great job. And when she told her the truth, which she now knows that this already was a lack of boundary, the mother went like, "Your father and I never made money like that."
Oh, no.
You know?
Yeah.
She felt so bad because the secret vow she had taken in childhood was never be more successful than her parents. And that's one many women have.
Mm-hmm.
Or never be more successful than your husband. That's a huge one as well. Why you don't apply for the job you really want, why you don't dare to create a business, etc. Because it's like I like to call it secret vows because we never talk about it. We don't even know them.
Yeah, a lot of it's under the surface of your own awareness. Even
Yes.
you decided that as a young child based on something that you perceive, and especially as empathic people, highly empathic or highly sensitive people, we absorb that without even realizing it. And
absolutely.
So, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think as children, we're all that open and that highly sensitive because that's how we learn. We don't learn from what our teachers tell us. We learn from day one. You know, when I see a little baby in the arms of her mother looking around, this baby is like, "Oh, okay, this is what it means. This is what it means to be human. This is how the world works." They know about money, finances, relationships way before they can talk. They already know everything. I mean, they don't know everything, but they figured out everything already.
Right. How this world works. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's a really good point when it comes to money. It's like, for me, it was like, well, if I take anything, then somebody else has to go without.
Wow.
And that stuck with me.
That's a huge one as well.
And I realized I was 3 years old when I decided that.
Yeah. So
well, is that true? No, this is not true.
Of course not.
But that's what that little 3-year-old decided.
Yes, and most probably because in your family they struggled with money, like in mine.
Yeah, and I'm the middle child, but at that point in time, I was the third child, but my older brother and sister are twins, and they are 11 and a half months older than I am. So if I took something, one of them would have to go without in my little mind, or my mom or dad would have to go without. And so I don't want them to have to go without, so I will be the one that goes without.
And that probably was true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that we make it up. It's not a fantasy. It's what we observe. And it's not necessarily that people are talking about it, but we can read the body language. We can read the mimic, the expression in the face, even when they don't tell us. That's what we know.
We feel it. We feel it. We sense it. We know it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, all of that was absorbed without any, what does a 3-year-old know about that? Really,
yes,
we absorbed it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so.
And to some extent, it's normal, right? That's how it's meant to be. When we were still organized in tribes, we would learn from the tribe. There is this beautiful book It takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
I love this title because that's exactly it. It's not only your parents and your direct family, it's all the people around you. You learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
You observe, and you, as you say, you kind of absorb what you learn from them.
Yes. Yeah.
So
True.
It's a normal thing. The problem is when the surroundings are not safe, are threatening for us, are not nourishing enough, or like if there is a lot of financial hardship. I know my sister was born in 45, so she was born in that time when there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And she always felt deprived. Her whole life was feeling deprived. Even when she had a really good life, she still would feel deprived.
Yeah.
And I only understood that when I learned about how the subconscious mind works. It was just like her main belief was there is never enough. There just isn't.
Yeah. And that is a very common belief.
Yeah.
There isn't enough to go around. There's not enough for me. If I take something, somebody else will have to go without. There's not enough for everyone. When the truth is, there is enough for everyone.
Yeah.
There's plenty of abundance around us, but that belief stops us from having or seeing the opportunities that are around.
Yes, and especially that we might link it, at least when we're older, to money and finances. But below that, when we dig deep, we often find the belief that there is not enough love for everyone.
That's right. Yeah.
Especially, my sister was 16 years older than I, so we were like two single children. But I've observed that in families where the siblings are closer together, like you, with your older siblings. Sometimes it's the feeling that mom loves them more than me. There is not enough love, especially when we are the children that the parents are overwhelmed with, like the third, the fourth child, or the child that's too much because it has too much energy, too much vibrancy, and the parents just don't know how to contain all this, right? So we become a problem somehow, and the feeling we get is there's not enough love for someone like me. I'm not good enough. I'm too much. That's the second biggest fear. The second biggest fear. The first one is I'm not good enough or not enough. But once I learn that I'm enough, the second fear that jumps up right away is I'm too much.
Yeah, I've experienced that too. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you start uncovering all this. It's like, isn't that interesting? And once you clear it, it's like, oh boy, that's like day and night.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's really amazing. But that being aware of it is the first step. Yeah.
So I don't even know if I answered your question of how tapping helps here is clearing all those old childhood trauma. Let's call it trauma globally. And then when you clear all this, then you have the possibility to install your own belief system. Then you are the empowered woman who has her own set of values, which she chooses. And from there, she builds the life she wants to have. And sometimes it's a major shift, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you don't see it from the outside, but in the inside, everything has changed.
Yes. And after you change the inside, things on the outside start shifting with it.
Absolutely.
Just automatically.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's a powerful thing that's happening with that transformation. So, but awareness is the key for sure. You have to be aware of it before you can shift it. So that's amazing.
Yes, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just know you're stuck, but you don't know why or how to get unstuck. Yeah, and that's really common too. Yeah, wow. So, are there any specific mindset shifts or affirmations you recommend for building self assurance and confidence?
Mm, yes, I think there's two things. One is try and give up expectations.
Mm, yeah.
Stop all the shoulds. When you catch yourself saying, I should, then you know that this is either your trauma speaking, your inner critic speaking, your inner negative dialogue speaking. All the shoulds are like whenever you catch yourself saying, I should do this or I should have said this and la la la, it's a story you're telling yourself. So just say, no, 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 I should not. I should, I don't know, I should exercise more. No, I should not. I can if I want to, but now let's explore if I want to. And if I don't, why don't I want to? Because we're humans and we love to move, right?
Yeah.
So this is one door to just start explore and become aware of what's going on inside. And the other thing, and that goes together with it, is give yourself permission to be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of people never give themselves permission.
And I even say that this could be the mantra to start the day with, to say, I give myself permission to be gentle with myself, at least today.
Yeah.
And then if you want to make that stronger, then you do, and you tap through the points while you say that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
That's so helpful.
Be kind to yourself. Most people are so hard on themselves.
Yes.
You know, you deserve the same grace that you give other people.
Absolutely, but we don't.
People don't do it though. They don't realize how hard they are on themselves. So if you give yourself permission to do that.
I remember my mother. My mother, she was a very hardworking woman. So she was born in 25. So she had, before the Second World War ended, she didn't have a vision of her life. And at the end of the Second World War, she was already married with a child, right? So, and as she always said, she had no idea of how the world would go. But there were so many hardships that she just became a hard worker and someone who had to function. And there was no reason not to function. She couldn't be sick. She couldn't have me time. She couldn't do self-care. That didn't exist in her universe. It was work, create safety, all her life. And I remember since I was a child, when she would do something wrong, like forget to do something. But when I was a child, my parents had a small hotel. So if she would forget to buy something, or if she would forget to clean a room or mix up a reservation, whatever it was, she would go like, oh, I'm so stupid. How can I be so stupid? I hate myself. And I even remember as a child, I was like, why are you doing that to you?
Yeah, that's so damaging.
And even, I think I started telling her to stop that when she was about 83 and she started to live with us. And I said, hey, come on, right? She was 83. She could hardly walk. She was nearly blind. She had only 5% of vision. And still she was doing the cooking for us because that was the only thing she still could do to have her feeling of autonomy and creativity, because we are vegans. And when she came to live with us, she started to create all the recipes of her life in a vegan version. And we had to eat it. That was her joy, right? So we had to do that. But when things would go wrong, she would start going against herself. And I said to her, okay, new rule. When something goes wrong, it just goes wrong. We throw it out and that's it. You're not stupid, right? You're not stupid. I don't want to ever hear you again to say that you're stupid.
Yeah.
So then she started to shift. And it was so interesting to see how it mellowed her.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fascinating.
Yeah, I'll bet. That's a powerful lesson. It's too bad it took that long to learn it, but at least she
Yes.
did. She paid attention to it and started being aware of her
Yes,
self-talk.
and she had 4 more good years. So there was a lot of change and a lot of transformation without ever talking intentionally about it. It was just the little things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Wow. That is super powerful. She was lucky to have you there.
Yes, and it healed our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because until that moment, we didn't have a close relationship. But those last 4 years really brought us much more together.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. It really, really does. I don't think a lot of people realize what a difference it does make. You know, I've experienced that. I lived with my grandparents when I was 23. I moved in with them to keep them out of a nursing home. And everyone thought I was crazy, but I wouldn't change that for anything in the world. And it was a great experience for all of us. And then now I'm here with my mom, taking care of her. She's 89, and it's the same kind of thing, you know, but it's just something that I always knew I was going to do. And, you know, here I am. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Yes, and I think it's a great experience, and I wouldn't miss it, even though there were days when I was like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? Why did I say yes to this? And it's part of life, right? It's so sad that now so many of us, we don't have the possibility of living that, because if you're in a job 9 to 5 or even more and commuting and all these things, you cannot have an old parent at home and take care of them. It's just not possible, right? So it's really a privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah,
it's a really good thing. So what are some practical strategies for setting boundaries and managing energy as an empath or HSP, especially when it comes to pursuing their passions or creating abundance?
Whoa, there's a lot. I think for setting boundaries, there are 2 things. One is actually really be in your body, come down into your body when you want to set a boundary, and use your body, like saying stop. I don't know how many people, especially women, I've shown them to, if you do not want something, say stop, and do this with your hand, because it stops the other person from talking or attacking you or whatever it is. Stop that. You need your body to do that, because we tend to be somewhere up here, right? Not really in our body. So then we forget. And maybe we have the freeze response from past trauma and all this, and we're out of the body without even knowing it. So going down and really taking this decision to use the body, to use especially your hands, which are extensions of your heart chakra.
Yes.
So you can do it lovingly, right? It's not an aggression. I always say, set boundaries lovingly. You can do that. It's not fighting.
Yeah,
that's
you're just
something. Yeah. And the other is learn a way of protecting your space. So there's many ways. You can do any kind of visualization that you like, of being in a ball of light, or in an egg, in a cosmic egg, or having a crystal wall, or whatever it is, but create that visualization for you and repeat it at least several times per day. Start your day with it, like setting up this space, which is inviolable. And then I do that before I go into a call. I do too. Crystal wall. So once you're used to it, even if you forget, it goes like, and it's there, right? We don't lose it, but it needs practice.
Yeah.
I think this is really, so for setting boundaries and having your safe space is the most important thing that you need. And when it comes to creating abundance, that's more, once we create the safety for us, then it's more this second chakra issues of creating and allowing ourselves to voice our needs, to say clearly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fifth chakra too, to speak your truth. Those two are linked, right? Because
Yes.
when we develop the second chakra when we're about 2.5, 3 years old, and that's when we discover our no, right? Saying no is the boundary. And when a child discovers the no, it enjoys it, right? It says no to everything.
Yes.
Just because it feels so good, it feels so powerful to say no, right? And what happens is, so often the caregivers are upset with us when we say no, and we're trained to not say no. We're
That's
trained
true.
to accept and take what is given. Be happy with what you have. Don't strive for more, right? Be modest. Speak only when asked. La la la. There is so much in there, right? This is all what happens between the age of 2.5 and 5, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the part to heal. Understand that we have the right to say what we want, and we do not have to justify ourselves. So when you cannot do that, there is the healing work to do. Go back to childhood, find out what happened, clear it, heal it, and then you can sit there and say, no, I don't want to. And I don't have to kind of, what we do is we're taught to be nice, especially as women. So if you ask me, do you want to come over and visit me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, then I can just say, no, thank you. And that's enough. Instead, what we do is, oh, I would love to see you. And it's true, it's been such a long time, but I can't because that day my mother-in-law is to go to the doctor and I have to drive. We make up a story like this instead of saying like, you know what? It's the only afternoon of the week that I have for myself and I just want to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying what I need, right? And there is nothing wrong with it.
No, there really isn't. There's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of social pressure is there, and it's all like 90% of it is in our head. So what if I say no, I don't want to, and then the other person, that's in the mind of the people, and then the other person will think that I don't love her enough, or that I'm not nice, and then she will not love me, and maybe she will never ask me again and never call me again, and la-di-la-di-la. It's all up here.
Yeah, you have a whole story.
It has nothing to do with the person who brought that up, right? It's all in me, and it's the same thing that happened when I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on. Has nothing to do with today.
That's true. That's very, very true. Yeah. And it's like you said, no is a complete sentence.
That's exactly.
You know?
Yes, absolutely.
And once you have those boundaries, then you're more free to have that creative expression.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Makes a big, big difference. That's
and it's really the same, like from the outside, we tend, those who have, and I think having healthy boundaries is a life topic, at least for me. Mm-hmm. It's always challenged again. And usually we're challenged by people who don't have healthy boundaries and who tend to step over ours.
Yes.
Right? But we also, as we don't have healthy boundaries, we used to step over the boundaries of others unintentionally. True. And we don't get it. Mm-hmm. And when somebody tells us, we feel so ashamed. It's deep shame that's in there. Mm-hmm. And that's something we have to heal, that it's okay to make a mistake, and it's okay whatever we did wrong, wherever we didn't see the boundary of somebody else, it's not because we're bad people. It's because we didn't learn it. It's because it's not healed in us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then again, I'm back to, I give myself permission to be gentle with myself, at least for today.
Yeah, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. Yeah, what great advice. So, do you have any upcoming projects or initiatives you're excited about?
Yes, always. So what I just created is a membership, which I call Activate Your Inner Power. And this is for women who do not need the big coaching, but who want to work on their topics gently and not in a too high frequency. So actually what we do is we have a group, or I have created this group, and there will be a monthly coaching call where we will talk about a topic and tap around a topic that's linked to the chakras and that's linked to our childhood, so that little by little people can clear, the women in the circle can clear old things from their own life in a gentle way. And then we have a second call 2 weeks later where we can celebrate wins and share thoughts and things that came up, and of course ask questions. And I'm ready to give some more advice, do some laser coaching with those who are there. So it's like entering this realm and gently and little by little start to clear what's in your life, what maybe even find the awareness. And I'm an over deliverer, so I will give some meditations or I will do this or that. I don't know, because I'm not someone who creates programs from the head. I create from my heart. And when I have the people in there, I know I get an idea of what they need, and then I do that.
And that's really
one of my clients, right? That's how it is.
Yeah, and that's really the best way to help the people that are there.
Exactly.
Because,
and actually,
And
actually, yesterday was the first time I talked about it in a class that I did, Stress Meets Tapping, Feeling Powerfully Calm. And you're the second person I'm talking to about it today. So this is really brand new. It just came out, and I'm looking for founding members now. So I have 12 spots of founding members open right now. We'll have a special prize, and the first 6 even get a coaching call one-on-one with me.
Wow.
So that's my project right now. More to come.
That's great. Yeah, that's going to help a lot of people.
I think so.
A lot of women are going to benefit from that. That's really great. I'm excited about that for you. Super excited. You'll have to keep me posted on how it's going. And
I certainly will. And I would appreciate if you could put the link to that page and the link to my website so that people can have a look more. And all of you, if you really want to have more contact with me, follow me on Clapper. I love Clapper. Clapper is a social media platform, but it's a lot about connecting really with people. It's not like Facebook.
Yeah, which I love about Clapper. And that was perfect timing, because that was my next question, was how people can get in touch with you. So what is your handle on Clapper?
It's Gaia 61.
Okay.
Just like on Instagram. And I have a links page on my website where all my handles, all my social media connections, etc. are there. And just to complete this, I have a free radio show on Clapper every Friday at 1 p.m.
And it's great. It's great.
Oh, yes, you were there, right?
Yes.
It's true.
Loved it. So I'm going to be one of those people that is there for your
it's show. To wind down. We're all so busy, and I think it's like you work, and then stop for the weekend. And we needed a transition to this. And this is what is my intention to do. So again, I don't know 100% what I'm doing. Last time I did a huge meditation on self-love, which I will repeat at some point, not tomorrow. But yeah, and I have many more meditations. So I think meditation is something we're going to do very often.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it depends on the people who are there.
That's true. Yeah, I'm planning to do that too, because it really does help. And a lot of people enjoy them. So thank you.
And so many people, especially when they have a stressful life, when they get to the weekend, they even get sick. You know, this weekend migraine, for instance, that's a typical stress-related disease. And when you have the transition into the weekend, and when you practice like being gentle with yourself, then these kind of migraines or other diseases, they tend to disappear little by little. It's not a magic wand. It's not fast. It's work.
Yeah, it does. But if you actually do the work and start that healing process, it does transform things pretty quickly. Yeah. Those little steps add up a lot faster than people realize.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, Gaia, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your wisdom with us. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. This was really, really fun.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. So as we conclude this incredible episode of the Empaths Journey to Empowerment, I hope you feel inspired and ready to embark on your own transformative journey. The wisdom and insights shared by Gaia today have the power to unlock your full potential and create a life of abundance, authenticity, and self-assurance. Don't miss out on future empowering conversations and expert guidance. Hit the subscribe button now and become a cherished member of our vibrant community of empowered empaths and HSPs. Together, let's continue to explore the depths of our intuitive gifts and create lives that are filled with purpose and joy. Remember, you have the power to manifest your dreams and live life on your own terms. Subscribe today and let's embark on this extraordinary journey together. Thank you, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.